Hello, everybody. I just thought I'd come and talk to you for a little bit about some things that have been weighing heavily on my mind lately. There's a lot of it's crazy. There's so much to talk about, really. Whenever it comes down to it, like I watch YouTube a lot, for instance, right? And sometimes it's really hard to cipher or filter through all of the BS, for lack of a better word, right? It's BS. There's a lot of BS. And, but with that being said, so let me just give you one topic. For instance, let's say paranormal, right? This is something that has pretty much exploded over the past, I don't know, especially past 10 years, but really let's say like the past 15 years with the advent of the camera phones getting so much better and better, smartphones having great cameras on them and this and that, people catching phenomenal things, it's a shame because there's been a number of YouTube channels that I followed for years, and all of a sudden you find out they're fake. They're fake. They faked almost everything. And it's unfortunate, like I don't watch them anymore really at all because I'm not into that sort of thing. Lies and deceit. Not a fan of that. But I mean, for anybody who has genuinely experienced paranormal activity in their life, right? What's real and what's not. You know what you've experienced and what maybe another person hasn't experienced, right? It's different because in your heart you saw what you saw, you felt what you felt, you heard what you heard. I'll try to give you a quick example. So my wife and I I was working as an armed security guard for a small internet casino, right? And a man was murdered on the property. These guys showed up. They had a high-powered assault rifle. It's not like they came through just guns blazing. What they did was they stuck the gun through the door, just like cracked the door open, stuck the gun through, and fired a shot off. This shot went through a pretty thick plate of glass, ricocheted off of two different machines, and then basically blew a giant hole in this man's leg, and then embedded itself a few inches into the concrete behind him. And it's unfortunate that he died because he didn't have to die. If anybody would have been able to get to the man and just apply a tourniquet, they could have stopped that bleeding and he would have survived. But what happened is he ended up, like, I guess it was probably, he was in panic, in shock, definitely. And he ended up crawling out the back door, crawling around the patio, around the backside, and he ended up crawling underneath the owner of the casino's RV. And he laid there until the ambulance got there. And then when the ambulance got there, they followed the trail of blood to his body. They found him. He was unconscious, and he died on the way to the hospital. That's what they said anyway in the report. To be honest with you, I think with the amount of blood that he lost, he was probably dead before they put him in the ambulance. And that's unfortunate. It really is. I think it's sad because even myself, if I could have gotten close enough to him, I would have ripped my belt off my pants, put a tourniquet around his thigh, and stopped that bleeding quick. Or at least mitigated it to an extent that he may have survived. He would have been much more likely to survive. At any rate, I'm telling you that because shortly after that incident, it kind of brought a lot of heat down on this little internet casino where, I mean, the business was booming in this place. It's like it was a small town. You know, we were moving tons of money, tons and tons of money through that place. You know, business was great. I was making great money working as an armed guard and money handler. And so shortly after that incident happened, the casino shut down, right? Due to a bunch of like little minor violations that piled up and piled up and piled up, and it got to the point where the guy just couldn't keep the casino running. He was going to try to for the longest time, and anyway, he still had, you know, $500,000 worth of equipment and machines, you know, like inside of that internet casino. Basically, that's what it's called. These are like machines that you can feed money into, and you can bet a certain amount of money per shot that you hit, you know, on the button. There's a bunch of different games, you know, like they call them fish games or whatever, but it's basically like a large TV screen placed onto like a table that has a design, has like 8 slots all around it where people can all play at once. And anyway, that's pretty much beside the point. What the point is that he hired me to guard the property overnight because he did have all of this expensive equipment still in the place, and he didn't want anybody going in and robbing him at night. So every night for 6 months, or at least 6 months, I would go and sit at this property from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes it was like 9 o'clock at night until sometimes 7 in the morning, but it really depended. I was always armed, always had my pistol in its holster on my hip, because I knew, first of all, I knew that there was a bunch of expensive equipment in the place. Second of all, a dude lost his life there from somebody bringing an assault rifle to the building and shooting him. So I knew that it could be inherently dangerous, right? So I always held my gun on me. What's interesting is the first couple nights after the place had shut down, it had remained vacant. It had remained vacant for a while, and I would say a couple weeks had gone by, and at least a couple of months since the man had been murdered there. And so once it shut down a couple weeks later, this would be a couple months after the guy got killed. A couple weeks later after it shut down, I went in to work at this place every night. I walked through the building. I would do a walkthrough of the building just to make sure nobody was inside. Checked literally every nook and cranny that there is in that place. You know, it's not like it was this giant building or anything, right? So there was you know, a few rooms throughout. They were all connected. You know, none of them were shut off except for like the back shed type area, and then there was another storage room where we kept like all of our chairs and extra chairs, tables, and stuff like that, right? And for the first couple of nights, me going in there and working, wasn't much going on. And like, you know, I'd go through, I'd clear the building, and then because the building had been labeled condemned, I wasn't supposed to be in the building, especially after dark. But the building was completely safe. There was nothing wrong with the building. It was like little minor violations. It's not like I was in danger of it collapsing on me or something, right? So I would go through, clear the building, make sure nobody was in there, and then I would lock the door behind me, go out the back door, lock that one, and then I would sit out back on the patio. Basically, and just sit there all night, kind of looking around, listening, making sure nobody was trying to come on the property, there was a few instances where people tried to come up to the property and stuff like that, and I'd have to run them off, like, hey, you guys can't be around here, this and that. At any rate, there was one night in particular. So my wife came with me almost every single night. I would say the first couple of nights I was doing it, she ended up like staying at home because she was working at a restaurant right across the street from this place, working as a waitress. And so she had been working all day. I didn't expect her to come and stay up all night with me and then have to turn around and get up in the morning and go to work again. And but bless her heart, she even after a couple of days, she started coming with me every night up there. And about 4 days after she started coming into the place with me every night, there'd be these weird things that happen. Like, I would walk into the building, shut the door behind me, get my flashlight, pull my pistol, clear the building, right? Every night. It's the same routine every night. I would change the path in which I took around the building to clear it, but the process remained the same. And there would be these little things, like and I'd always have her like on my hip. Like, I was like, you stay right here on my hip behind me, and until I know the building's clear, that way I know you're safe. And so some weird things started happening, like, for instance, like one night we walked in, it was super cold in this place. And mind you, this is literally like the middle of the summertime in Florida, Central Florida. And it is hot. It's like 90 degrees outside at least at 10 o'clock at night. And so that means that building had been cooking all day. There is no power. There's no AC. There's no fans running. So it should have been hot inside that building. But when we walked in, it was so cold I could see my breath. And so could she. And she's like, what's that all about, And I said, I don't know. And right about the time I said, I don't know, we heard this really loud bang. Coming from one of the rooms, like off to the side, like it was like off to the side. And so it scared the shit out of me, but I know it scared her really bad. And so I immediately drew my pistol. I got my pistol, and I'm walking through, I'm looking, scanning, checking the area out. And there's nobody in there. There's no raccoons, there's nothing in there. There's no animals, there's no people. And so that type of thing happened fairly often. I would walk, it wouldn't always be cold in there. I'd walk in sometimes, clear the building, be totally normal, wouldn't hear anything, wouldn't see anything, nothing like that. And then we would move on, And then but it seemed as though, like, as time went on, it just got worse and worse. Almost as if once it had been acknowledged that we knew something was in there, that's when it started to get worse and worse. And so, and what I mean by worse and worse is, I mean, like, literally we would walk into the building, shut the door behind us, lock it, and immediately you'd hear stuff. You'd hear stuff like bangs in the back, like, or right next to you even. Like, you walk in and there's like a loud bang on the wall right next to you. And I'm thinking, what in the world is this, And I'm already a believer from some things that had happened to me as a kid. But I'm also a skeptic. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is debunk it. Like, there's got to be a reason for it, right? But at some point, whenever you've exhausted every possible outcome, the only thing left, however improbable, is the truth. And I think Sherlock Holmes said that, maybe. But yeah, it started to get bad. Like, we would walk through, we would start to see things, like a shadow that's the size of a man, walking from left to right across one of the back rooms. You could see his shadow come across the door, And then I would literally run back there, and there's nothing back there. He's not there anymore. It's gone. Like I never got to come face to face with the shadow or anything like that, or get to confront it or anything, even though I tried my hardest. But one night it basically culminated in, so we were sitting out back on the patio, and the bangs are literally just nonstop. I'm talking like it was just like bang, 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 bang. And I'm thinking, what in the hell is that? You know, and I'm trying to think of everything that I can think of that could possibly be. There's no wind, you know, it's not coming from outside, it's coming from inside. And I started to walk in the building, and my wife was like, wait, I'm coming with you. So I let her come with me inside against my better judgment. I let her come in with me, and we walked through slowly, clearing the building. So basically, if you think about it, like you walk in the back door. If you look left, there's like a bathroom over to the left. And then this is the small room, which is connected right here to a big room, which was the main room. So there was a doorway there to go into the main room. If you turn directly to your right, there is another doorway which leads to the small side room. But like I said, all these rooms are connected. And so we walk through it. I'm like seeing stuff, I'm hearing stuff, and I'm like, man, this is weird, you know. And so we walk all the way through the building. We go all the way through to the front, back to the front door, and then I step into what was the office. I had both doors open, but it's very dark in there at this point. All I have is the light from my phone's flashlight. And the more I think about this, I'm wondering why I didn't record more of it. I did record some of it, but I ended up losing that phone and losing everything, of course, right? Of course, totally, right? But, you know, I don't really tell people about this anyway, though. I don't know why I was recording it. What was that, for my own, you know, for my own self gratification, you know, to be like, look, I know I caught this. I know I've seen it. I know I heard it. But at any rate, we both stepped into the office, and it was like the atmosphere inside there was very heavy. There was almost the atmosphere was heavy, and it almost felt like electric, almost, right? And we heard another really loud bang, and I said, all right. I said, if there's anything in this building, please let yourself be known. And then off in the back, another loud bang. And then what might have sounded like steps moving towards the office that we're in. Heavy steps. And I'm scared. Don't get me wrong. That's scary. When you hear steps and you hear things and you can't see them and identify where it's coming from, that's scary. My wife was terrified. You know, I got my pistol out. You know, if it's a person, I can protect us. You can't protect yourself from a ghost, a poltergeist, a demon, whatever it is, with a gun. And so as the steps, they came, they stopped probably about 30 feet away from us, you know, like 10 meters away. And I said, if there's somebody here, make yourself known. And I'll never forget this for as long as I live. There was this feeling that came over me, like, from all directions, up, down, left, right, diagonal, everywhere. It felt like this energy was rushing at me all at once. And then once it culminated in the loudest bang she and I had heard in the place yet. And immediately she jumped from the sound and then hauled ass straight. She walked straight out and out the back door. And I stood there kind of like, I don't know what to think about what just happened. That was the most intense feeling that I've ever experienced in my entire life. I'll never forget the feeling. It'll be with me until I die. And it was almost just, I don't know if it was a warning, if it was him saying, yeah, I'm here. You've been asking long enough. Well, here I am. You know, I don't know what it was. Don't know what caused it. But I know that I felt it. And so, yeah, to feel what it felt like, it was like, you know, from every direction, it's zooming in at you, super fast too. And then, so it wasn't like I didn't just hear the bang, I felt the bang at the same time. That's what made it so intense. And I stood there for a few moments and I just kind of said, all right, you know, I'd like bit my lip a couple times and I said, all right, I'm walking out of here. And I walked out the back door. And after that, I never went back in that building. And every night for months and months at a time, we would hear the things going on in the building. We would see things in the building. But we never went back in there. Not after that. She refused. She wouldn't go back in there. I thought about it a couple different times. Maybe I even did a couple different times after that, but really quick. Like in and out, kind of like, look, all right, because it literally sounds like there's a person in there. And so I would go in, check it out real quick, right back out. I'm not lingering around. I'm not fucking around. All right. And so that's something that I'll never forget, you know. And my wife was there with me to experience it. So she experienced it too. She knows the truth. And before she got with me, she was very kind of like closed-minded to things like that. But after being with me for long enough, I think she knows. I know she knows now that the paranormal is real and it's dangerous. And so, yeah, that's my story for tonight. I got many more about that place to tell you guys about, and I am going to start uploading more often. I said that before, but we ended up making a move. I moved into a new house, and so I'm here now. I've been working a lot, but I do absolutely intend on making some more videos consistently now, definitely. I'll try to make some every day if I can, you know. And if anybody's around, please, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. Maybe we'll do some things where I can have, you know, people call in or something like that, talk to me, tell me their stories. But definitely comment your stories if you've ever experienced anything that was, you know, so intense that you'll never forget it. And there's no need to lie, you know. I'm not here to make anything out of it. I'm not here to make anything off of it. I'm just telling you what happened to me. That's it. So I want you guys to, if there is anybody around, if there's anybody watching this, I'd like for you to comment for me. If you guys would subscribe, that would be amazing. I promise there will be more videos coming soon, okay? All right, everybody. Take it easy.